Howdy folks, I'm Rough Hawkbit, rudely rumbling round Rocky Rabbit Runs.
I'm Amber.
And here are more Rocky Rabbit Runs for us to rudely rumble around. So let's get started on doing that. Alright folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Not Wanting My Friends' Kids to Come on Our Vacation? For some context, I've had the same group of very close-knit friends since middle school. We are all 34 years old now. Every 5 years or so, we go on a 2-week international trip together. It has always been implied that this is an adult-only trip, and this has never been an issue. Our next trip is about a year out, and we've all decided to go to Australia. After this was confirmed and we started planning, one of my friends who has a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old said, I'm bringing the kids on this trip. Seems like there's a lot of fun things for them to be included in. Her husband is also part of the friends group and he'll be joining as well. My other friend, who also has kids, a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old, promptly said, Great, I'll bring mine too. In the past, these friends left their kids with their parents who live both nearby. So they have childcare options. Well, those of us that don't have kids, the majority, 6 out of the 10 of us, sidebarred and decided that we do not want the kids going on this trip. It's a very expensive vacation and we'll need to use our entire paid time off for this and don't want to spend it on kids' activities. We do everything with kids and we love them and we never ask them to exclude their kids on anything until now. Well, when the kids are around, all of the attention and conversation ends up being kid-related. This is okay and something that we're used to, but we would not like this to be the dynamic for a 2-week international vacation. We brought this up in a delicate way, but the parents of the group are now very offended and are saying, so if we can't bring our kids, we're uninvited. We are now sort of at a standstill. It won't work for all of us to go and do separate things. The kids will inevitably be at every dinner and every outing, and we're holding our ground, but it's a tough situation. We are discussing a potential compromise where we cut the trip down to 1 week and go somewhere closer. The more the no kids people chat about this though, the less we want to settle for a trip that we don't want to go on. Am I the jerk? Any thoughts? All right, folks, what do you think?
I don't think OP is in the wrong here. I think the friends are a little bit in the wrong for just insisting they were bringing their kids. It's fine to broach the subject. It's fine to not want to take a long trip without your kids. But it's not fine to take a trip that has historically been adults only and be like, we're going to all of a sudden make this a kids trip. Because bringing kids inevitably is going to change the focus of the trip. And it sounds like the people without kids really don't want to basically spend the week doing kids activities. So I think, I understand the parents are feeling kind of excluded, but they are making the choice to spend time with the kids, and there's nothing wrong with that. But they can't expect a bunch of other adults to just want to hang around doing children's activities the entire time.
I think this is a very complicated situation. And I think one of the reasons why it's been classically not kids is probably because it's only been a few years since the other people have had kids. Like the oldest of the kids sounds like they're 5, right? And also it's likely as they have gotten older that they want to spend more time with the kids on these kinds of trips because the kids will understand and remember them more. A 5-year-old, this is going to be a more memorable type of trip to them. So I can understand the understanding that this was kind of a no kids trip. But when you become an adult and you start having kids, then a lot of your trips are going to become more kid focused and more kid centric if you have children. And as for like the parents in this situation, well, OP says, well, we have to take our 2-week vacation, all of our vacation time and use this up. Well, the parents of the kids also have to use all their vacation time up as well, which means what are they going to do during Christmas or the other holidays and stuff like that too, right? So they're not going to get any time off to spend, time with their kids, which I think is, something that a parent has to budget for.
Well, that's why I think they are just going to have to go their separate ways because they're at different stages in life and have different priorities. It's not fair for the parents to expect everyone else to do a trip with their kids and do kids' activities the entire time.
Well, and that's why I said it's a complicated situation, right? I'm not saying that one party is right or the other one. I understand where the parents are coming from here. I think that it's, good that the parents want to hang out with their kids. I understand where the non-parents are coming from here because sometimes you just want to get away from kids and you don't want to hang out with them and you don't want every conversation to become kid-centric or kid-focused. And that's understandable as well. But I do agree with you that maybe this means that everyone's kind of at an impasse and that maybe the 2-week vacation needs to be figured out in a different way, right? And I mean, I know he's like, well, it wouldn't work to make it, two separate, have everyone kind of go their separate ways. Why not? I mean, if you all want to go together, you can still have some events and some things that you plan to be, non-kid focused, right? And I think that's part of the compromise that they're going to have to come up with if they want to make this a big international trip that they're going to hang out with their friends on. So it seems like this is kind of a hard boundary now, hard condition that the parents have put on there, right? They're saying if we're going to go on these trips, we're going to need to bring our kids. So this isn't going to be the first time or the last time. This isn't going to be the last time that this conversation comes up. So if they don't figure something out this time, then it's going to be pretty much the way it is for the future, right? So whatever precedent they set now is the precedent of the future. So that's the really hard reality of it. Sometimes there aren't good solutions to problems, but if you all work together and you all put your heads together, I'm sure you can come up with something that will work for everybody if this is an important enough trip for them. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And I want a large Farva says, no jerks here. This is part of growing up. Sometimes the dynamics of the friends group change. You said that you'll need to use most or all of your PTO to go on this trip. Do you think that's any different for those with kids? There's no way that I would use all of my PTO on a trip that my kids weren't doing with me. Once people have kids, their priorities shift. That's not to say that they completely drop their friends from before, but friend trips are going to be more naturally dropped to weekend affairs rather than 2-week international vacations. Not only is this a long time to be away from your kids, but it's also a long time to ask someone else to care for your kids. They're not the jerks for wanting to spend time with their kids in a fun location. You're not the jerk for wanting a kid-free vacation. Unfortunately, the choice is most likely that they'll have to have their kids with you or take separate vacations. That's just the way the cookie crumbles. And more detail, 9569 says, look, I know you don't want to hear this, but maybe it's just time for the group to split up. The parents want their kids to see the world and do things with them, and that's fair. The rest of you don't, and that's fair too. You guys are at different stages in life, and that's okay to let it go. And Witchy Woman 713 says, I hope you just mean on these sort of vacations. The group can still stay friends and do things together. But I agree that it's fine for the parents to want their kids to have an experience, and it's also okay that the child-free group wants an experience out of this that doesn't include 4 young kids tagging along. And You Shan't Nom says, as a mom myself, not the jerk. This was not the vacation the group planned, and it's rude just to assume everyone will be okay with kids on the vacation. And Cable Trick says, another mom here, fresh off of a week where my kids were with Granny. Kids are a lot. I love my kids, but getting away for the weekend with just my partner was amazing, not the jerk. So it seems like everyone is all over the board with this one.
Mm-hmm.
All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I the Jerk for Lying About Who I'm With to My Boyfriend? I knew of my boyfriend around college for a while, but I only really met him a year ago. We started dating soon afterwards, but I knew him, and he was friends with a couple of guys that I know as well. We'll call them Finn and Cam. My boyfriend told me that they had a falling out because they used to rib on him a lot, and he got tired of it. And I guess after my boyfriend distanced themselves, they tried to get everyone at our college to ignore him. I'm not super close to Finn or Cam, so I told my boyfriend that I would stop talking to them. He didn't want this at first because he felt controlling, but I told him that it was completely my decision, and for him not to worry. He gave me a big hug and thanked me for supporting him. Once Finn and Cam found out that we were dating, they wanted to hang out more. I was hesitant, but I started talking to them more and occasionally hanging out. I've been hiding this from my boyfriend because I think that he would be hurt if he knew. But the other day, he asked me if I was hanging out with Cam. Not sure how he knew. And I had to directly lie and say I wasn't. I felt bad to lie to him, but what he doesn't know can't hurt him is my mentality. Am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think?
Yes, OP, you are the jerk. You're also being extremely naive here. there's a reason why they want to hang out with you all of a sudden now that you're dating him.
Yeah.
The goal is to split you and him up. They don't like you for you. They want to be with you to get back at him.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, you're absolutely being a jerk here. Like, it sounds like your partner was not pushing you not to be friends with them, but you said you wouldn't be. And now you're lying needlessly. So you can be friends with them or not, but you shouldn't be going behind your partner's back like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that kind of summarizes my issue with this. Also, the whole, oh, he asked me if I was hanging around Cam, and I'm like, oh, no, of course I'm not hanging around Cam, right? He knows. He already knows. If he's asking you this question, he already knows that you're hanging around Cam. He was just seeing what you would have to say about it because he wanted to know that, hear you say it, right? So I think that OP is doubly naive in the respect that they're like, well, what he doesn't know won't hurt him. He knows already. Yeah. He's hurt, and he wanted to talk about why you were doing this, but you lied to his face. So yeah, I don't know. I really do hope OP understands that they've kind of put themselves into a really bad position here because now they've lied and now they've lied twice essentially. Once when they said they weren't going to hang around these people and they volunteered to do this, and now again when he asked and confronted, and OP has lied the second time. So they've made a mess of themselves, and they just need to come forward and say, I was afraid of hurting you. I didn't want to admit that I was hanging around Finn and Cam. I just wanted what was best for you and felt like telling you would be more harmful. So I do think like OP needs to come forward, needs to talk about it, and actually tell the truth. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Refusing to Give My Sister My House Key After She Got Locked Out with Her Kids? So my sister is a 31-year-old female and I am a 34-year-old male, and I've always had one of those relationships where I'm expected to help because I'm the stable one. I own my own home, I work from home, and my life is pretty predictable. Her life is kind of the opposite. She has 3 kids under 10, different jobs, different boyfriends, some new crisis every month. I love her, she's my sister, but every time I see her name on my phone late at night, I already know that it's probably not going to be good news. Well, about 6 months ago, she got locked out of her apartment around 11 p.m. I don't remember exactly what happened, something with the landlord not answering and her keys being inside. But it was freezing and she had all 3 kids with her. I drove over, I picked them up, and I brought them back to my place, and they stayed the night, no problem. After that, she started asking for a spare key to my house, just in case. I said no, not because I don't care about her, but because her version of just in case tends to become whenever I need something. She borrowed my car before and returned it with basically no gas, borrowed my money and somehow forgot about it, left her dog with me for what was supposed to be a weekend, and it turned into almost a month. None of those things alone are a huge deal, but after a while you start noticing a pattern. She got offended and said that I didn't trust her, and honestly maybe that's an issue, but I kinda don't. Well, a few weeks ago, I came home from the grocery shopping and I found her sitting on my porch with the kids. Apparently, there was another problem with her apartment. I didn't even ask many questions. I just let them in. Later, while we were eating dinner, she brought up the key situation again, this time right in front of the kids. I said no again, and she asked why. I said because I know exactly what would happen if I gave her one. She asked what that meant, and I told her that she would start treating my house like a backup apartment. Things got awkward really fast. She kept asking me what I meant, so I reminded her about the car, the money, the dog, and some other stuff. I wasn't trying to make some speech. I was honestly just getting annoyed because she kept pushing after I had already answered. Then she started crying, not yelling, not screaming, just crying. The kids heard everything. That's honestly the only part I feel bad about because they didn't need to be in the middle of it. Later, my mom called me and said that I humiliated my sister and made her feel like a burden when she's already struggling. She said that I could have made up an excuse instead of listing all of the reasons that I don't trust her. Maybe I could have, I don't know. The thing is, everything I said was true. I wasn't making up stuff to hurt her. Those were the actual reasons. Now my sister isn't speaking to me, and my mom says that I was technically right, but cruel about it. And one of my friends actually said that I should have just given her a key and changed the locks later if it became a problem, which sounds ridiculous to me. I honestly don't know anymore. Am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think?
No, not the jerk. I mean, it sounds like you know what would happen. And you gave your sister an answer. You're not obligated to let her stay, have a key to your place. And she didn't like the answer, so she pushed you in front of her kids and made it into a scene. The only one behaving badly here is the sister.
Yeah, I think she asked in front of the kids because she didn't think that OP would be honest in front of the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels to me like she was doing this purposely to try and, coerce OP into a uncomfortable answer that they didn't want to give, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she played her hand wrong. I think that OP has every right to not want their sister in the apartment. As for whether they should give their sister a key or not, OP doesn't need to, right? Like, they can tell their sister, look, you can come over to my house whenever you need to, but you need to notify me first, type of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's perfectly fine and fair. OP is allowed to have their own space and their own place where they can be private. If OP starts coming home and their sister is there all the time, then it's going to become a matter of OP's home not feeling like their own place, right?
Mm-hmm.
And also, like, if OP does give her the key, what happens when she starts abusing this privilege,
Mm-hmm.
and then OP has to change the locks, and then the exact same kind of conversation comes up again, right? Like, she's still going to be, oh, well, you locked me out, don't you trust me type of situation.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you shouldn't have changed the locks, you just don't trust me, or any number of things. We weren't doing anything bad at your apartment. It was an emergency. I can see those kinds of things popping up. I mean, I'm not OP and I'm not the sister, so it's just pure speculation, but it feels like one of those kinds of situations.
Mm-hmm.
But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has a joke.
What falls in winter but never gets hurt?
Oh, well, I would say leaves, for one, right? Leaves fall, but they don't get hurt. And then I guess the temperature falls and it also doesn't get hurt. And let's see, the moon rises and falls, but it never gets hurt. And the sun rises and falls, but it never gets hurt. And let's see, I would say there's a lot of things that rise and fall but never get hurt, like waves. Waves, they fall, but they also never get hurt.
Snow.
Snow too falls. Snow falls. But that's not fall.
No, I said in winter.
Oh. Somehow I thought that was fall. My brain said what falls in fall and not what falls in winter. If I had heard that, I would have said like snow because I thought we were talking about fall. And I have a special guest tea, some chocolate tea today. Ooh, two special guest teas in 1 week.
Mm-hmm.
How can I possibly betray people like this?
Easily. You are a cruel, cruel person.
And folks, today is a very special day. It's Take a 2-Week Vacation Day. So make sure to go take a 2-week vacation today. Only today.
Now, how do you do 2 weeks in 1 day?
You very carefully, time dilation, Amber, time dilation. Get up close to the speed of light, and it'll feel like 2 weeks to you. Oh, wait, no, never mind. Scratch that, opposite, something else, blah, blah, blah. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Friday, folks. I can't believe we made it to the end of the week. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it on vacationing with kids.
It's fine to vacation with your kids, but don't foist your kids on other people who don't want them along on the trip.
Probably not good for the friends group. But thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.